What's happening? I'm Ross. I want to talk about the student loan forgiveness program. Looks like the Biden administration has hit another hurdle. Let's go ahead and get into this article. So, a federal judge in Texas strikes down Biden's student loan forgiveness program. Plan is an unconstitutional exercise of Congress' legislative power, rules the judge. A federal judge in Texas on Thursday struck down Biden administration's student loan forgiveness plan, imperiling a key administration priority that would have canceled up to $20,000 in student loans for tens of millions of borrowers. And that $20,000 is only if you received a Pell Grant. The Biden administration plan is it's $10,000 if you have not received a Pell Grant, $20,000 if you have received a Pell Grant. The Biden administration's plan is an unconstitutional exercise of Congress's legislative power that also failed to go through the normal regulatory processes, Judge Mark Pittman of the Northern District of Texas wrote in a 26-page opinion. No one can plausibly deny that it is either one of the largest delegations of legislative power to the executive branch or one of the largest exercises of legislative power without congressional authority in the history of the United States, Mr. Pittman, an appointee of former President Donald Trump, wrote. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I will leave links to the article if you want to read the whole thing. So I'll just note this is the second hurdle, at least that's active right now for the Biden administration. There is another case that is on a temporary hold, but in that case, the lower court judge threw the case out, and the plaintiffs are trying to get the case reinstated. On an appeal. So that case is held only until the appeal is heard. But in that case, the Biden administration kind of has a momentum because the lower court judge already ruled against the plaintiff and thus for the Biden administration. So the plaintiff is trying to get it overturned. In this case, this judge in Texas actually struck down the plan, and now it will be the Biden administration lobbying the court to get his decision overruled. So it's kind of distinct, but there's two things that are hindering the Biden administration on this plan right now. The Justice Department is appealing the verdict, the spokeswoman said. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre criticized the ruling and said the Education Department will hold on to the borrower's applications for debt relief so it can quickly process them if the court allows the program to move forward. We will never stop fighting for hardworking Americans, most in need, no matter how many roadblocks our opponents and special interests try to put in our way. Two borrowers supported by the Jobs Creation Network, a conservative group, were granted standing in the case because they didn't qualify for the program. One plaintiff had student loans that weren't eligible for forgiveness, while the other wasn't the recipient of a Pell Grant, meaning he didn't qualify for an extra $10,000 in forgiveness for which only Pell Grant recipients are eligible. The court ruled that they had been deprived of their right to voice their disagreement with the contours of the program through the usual regulatory process. So basically what it's stating here is they had two people. One of them had private student loans, so he didn't qualify, and the other one did not get a Pell Grant while he was in school, so he only qualified for the $10,000. So what the judge ruled is not necessarily on the case, although it's clear he doesn't approve of the student loan forgiveness, but he ruled that they didn't have the right to disagree in the normal process, right? And again, as stated before, the Biden administration will be appealing this, so more to come. Another suit brought by GOP officials in 6 states is currently waiting a ruling from the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, which put a preliminary pause on the program last month as it considered whether the states had legal standing. And this is the other case I was talking about. Again, that case, the lower court judge ruled against the states, saying they did not have standing, and now the states are appealing. So that one, the administration has the Biden administration has the momentum on that one. Payments on federal student loans have been paused since March 2020, but are scheduled to resume at the beginning of 2023. It is unclear whether that could change in response to this court ruling. So you need to be ready to pay your student loans. Just assume that you're going to have to start paying again in January. The breaks are over. It's been almost 2 years. You're going to have to start paying your student loans. It's my personal belief that the Biden administration is going to move forward with. They're going to extend the pause since they didn't get their forgiveness. From my perspective, what they were doing was saying, okay, we're going to get that forgiveness through. Here's your $10,000. And okay, now you guys got to go back to paying your loans. But since they didn't get that, I can see them pausing it just to wait and see what happens with the actual court cases. And honestly, I can see them pausing it just out of spite now to get back at the Republicans. But it is what it is. You, as an individual, for your personal finance, you need to be ready to pay your student loans. Do not assume they're going to extend these because they may or may not. You need to pay back your student loans. In fact, you should be paying them back now while there's no interest. But also, you may be able to get $10,000 off. We don't know yet. I would say at this point, it's going to have to go to the Supreme Court because now you've got two lower courts kind of disagreeing, and that's typically when things have to go to a higher appeals court. So you don't know what's going to happen is my point. You don't know what's going to happen. It's out of your hands at this point. Get ready to pay back your student loans. Get ready to pay back your student loans. Let me say it again. Get ready to pay back your student loans. Yes, Biden may delay or extend the pause, but at some point you're going to have to pay these things back. So get yourself ready. Get in a position. Do not be planning your financial future based on what these politicians do. They're with the wind. So you got to get ready to pay this back on your own. And if this happens, then it's just icing on the cake, right? My name is Ross. If you made it this far in this video, please consider giving me a like, possibly even a subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, but it'll help me out immensely. Thank you. Peace.